serve under your chairmanship. And I want to thank my honourable friend, member for Kingston upon Hullies, for obtaining this very important debate. I want to begin by declaring an interest. I will be speaking from a place of personal experience as someone who is a carer. Indeed, there are 13.6 million unpaid carers in the United Kingdom supporting family, friends, members. And many of those stories go untold, and the shares and the struggles that they have. I know the honourable members, some of them have spoken about some of the people that they've come across, about their struggles and how they've been trying to cope with this. So I just want to touch a little bit about my situation. Effectively for the last 10 years, firstly, I was a carer to my mother who passed away in 2017, in fact, during the course of the general election, and then my brother, more recently, who has a number of chronic conditions. And therefore, trying to balance life or working, family and caring is very difficult. But I'm lucky. I'm lucky because I have and I get a decent income. I'm lucky because my work is flexible, because I can rearrange appointments. But if I was somebody who was working in a 9-to-5 job, I would not be able to look after my family members, and I would have had to leave my job, as the Honourable Member Worsley was saying about one of her constituents, a teacher who's effectively left her job.
Exactly.
And this is really not fair. And we are the fourth or the fifth richest country in the world. We shouldn't have to be in this position. People shouldn't have to be that. And even though I'm financially stable, I have all the flexibility, even with that, even I get, and I know others will get tired, and I'll give an example. Just about 8 weeks ago, my brother telephoned me in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning saying he had a massive pain in his arm. I called the ambulance. He was taken straight away to Salford Hospital and then to the MRI because he's found to have a clot in his arms, and he was operated immediately. That same night, I was with him. But the next morning, I had to come, it was on a Monday, come down to Parliament. And, you know, or when you are staying with family members for nights on end, in the morning, you're just enough to keep your eyes open with loads of paracetamols, trying to get rid of the headaches that you get from kind of not having sleep at night. Now, I know that social services do provide some carers. People do get carers coming in. But the truth is, that is not enough. There are limited hours that people are given. What happens when somebody isn't there for that half an hour, 45 minutes to give them to your lunch? What about those 4 or 5 hours gap in between the next caring visit? Or more importantly, the nighttime visits, which have now been effectively stopped by local authorities. And I can remember with my mother, because of her elderly, not just because of physical situation, but her emotional, psychological, I was up 3 times a night with her at times. And I don't think, again, that, and again, as I said, you know, I was able to cope, but others don't. And I therefore really would ask, and as the Honourable Member for Uxbridge and Hillingdon said, look, debate about social care, debate about lack of financial provision for carers, everyone knows about it. We've all discussed it in Parliament hundreds of millions of times, and it's been debated again and again and again. The problem is, no one, no government has actually grasped this issue and actually are dealing and doing anything with it. And it needs to be real drastic changes to the whole care system, as well as, of course, coming back to the 13.6 million carers who, as my friends have said, other members who effectively left their jobs or stopped their education to be able to do so. Because that's the ground reality when you are caring for a sick member or a family. But let me say, for me, it was a privilege and an honour to be able to look after my family. And I, for 1 minute, feel pleased that I can be with them. But I feel sorry for all those people whose families are not around them, people who are left on their own, who are often languishing for hours and hours without anyone to look after them. And it is those people that we need to concern about, and the carers who end up spending time and time looking after them. So I would say, and I know this has already been mentioned, that the carers allowance is only going up by 3.5%, but inflation is already more than 7%. We know that heating bills are going up. A lot of elderly, a lot of ill people actually need often extra heating. And if they're with their family, that means often the bills paying for that will come from their families as well. Transport costs can be much harder, much more higher because, often they might need to be accompanied or they may need taxis to go to medical appointments. And according to Carers UK, a quarter of people are having to carers are using food banks to make ends meet. The additional cost of caring can be compounded by carers having to reduce their working hours, as I said, or leave employment altogether. So what I asked the Minister, what is she doing and her government to give support to the carers at this very, very difficult time? What are they going to do in real term to increase the benefit and the allowances that the carers get? Will they consider extending the warm home discount scheme to unpaid carers to recognise the particularly high energy costs carers often face to keep the person they're looking after safe and warm? And believe me, most ill people need more extra heating. We need a comprehensive plan for social care to support our ageing population and relieve the pressures on the NHS. Because one thing we also know that many people who are unwell stay extra time in hospital because there isn't a social care package, assistance or support available for them. So there's delays in there as well. Ms. Bedell, the average person has a 50-50 chance of caring by the age of 50, long before they reach their retirement age. Most are not going to be able to do this, and they can't even use private carers to provide service. Again, the government knows it, the medical profession knows it, social services know, local authorities know, we all know it. It's a big problem, and it's a really sad situation that we have, and something needs to be done now.
Yeah.